Hello everybody, welcome to our webinar. So today or this evening we're going to be talking about this beautiful villa rendering that was created by Femi, my student. So he's a brilliant guy, and you should also visit his Instagram profile. So big shout out to him. For those of you that just joined in, my name is Mike and I'm a teacher for VizAcademy. VizAcademy is a rendering school that will teach you how to create beautiful 3D renders in less than 7 weeks. You can visit our website, that's VizAcademy Co. UK, to learn more about our training. Right now there's a special section or let's say a bonus few webinars on animation. We're still expanding on this knowledge because the topic of animation is very broad, and I don't want to call it a segment in our training just yet, because at the moment I'm treating it as a bonus because, well, it is something cool, it's something good, but it will be better, and once it is, it's actually going to be a product. So I see that there's a lot of my favorite people here. So hello Adrian, Kyoko, Abissa, hello Maisa, and also we've got Mikasa, so it's always a pleasure to have you guys. I highly appreciate the fact that I see your faces all the time, and well, what can I say? Thank you for that. Now, for those of you that would like to join our school, make sure to go to our VizAcademy website, available dates, and you will be able to sign up for the 7-week training that will teach you how to become a professional. Hello from Dubai. Okay, I just been there. Well, a year ago almost. But for me, it's like I was just there. Hey, Swati, nice to have you as well. So Joe, so many of my students decided to join in. Okay, so I hope that I'm not going to disappoint. Oh my God, so nice to have you guys. I think it's time to focus more on that 3D clicking than me talking. So really super excited for you guys being here. Last week we had to reschedule because I had some snuffles. To be honest, it was mostly my guts just saying, hey, how about we come outside? And yeah, I just kind of didn't want that. So I had to postpone the webinar. But I'm fine now, so thank you for asking. Now, I never saw the render in its grade. What do you mean by that? Well, now let's analyze what we're going to be talking about and what we're going to be doing tonight, because obviously the scene is really nice and complex, so we're going to have to analyze what we can really work with and what is going to be our starting point. Our viewers are going to get floor plans in the posts, but our members are also going to get just a little bit more to get you started. So we're going to be talking about this rather simplistic scene and some brilliant fixes and tricks that Femi used as per my suggestions. And I must say that I was really impressed with this shot, so I've asked him to send it to me so I can show you some of his brilliance. So as I said, we're not going to be doing everything from scratch. We're just going to do most of it. Okay. Not paint, epic pen. Now we've got it. So I want to focus mostly on those brilliant solutions because that's modeling from scratch, and building buildings is fun, and we did it many times on our channel, and I think we can do more of that if you guys would like to learn about it. But tonight I'd like to talk about those smart solutions. So first we're going to be talking about some of those nice scatters that were used to create moldings and details. I'm also going to be talking about the windows, window frames, and ornamental details that we have. I would like to talk about ways of optimizing your railings, because that one thing, he did it so good that I didn't even notice that it can be updated and made a little bit better. Please tell us lighting how to do. I will. I think we can do it during our regular webinar, but I'm going to put that to vote to our members if they would like to talk about that. Now, what I would like to mostly, let's say, focus on is as I said, the tricks. So we're going to be using some of the previous knowledge from previous webinars. So I'm going to teach you how to save a little bit of time, and I'm going to just talk you through my process of working. As you can see there, the scene is really simple, but it packs such an enormous punch in it that I think everybody can appreciate. So again, Femi, congratulations. Hey, Mike Jones, how are you? I can see you. Mike Jones is not my alter ego and not a bot. It's just one of my friends. So he renamed it to Mike Jones just to mess with me, I guess. I think it's time to quickly render what we're going to be going for, and I'm going to walk you through every step along the way. You are allowed and encouraged to ask questions. I would like to have a little bit of a conversation. It's something that I'm going to be really happy about. So let's try to also keep it civil, so no spamming. If you ask a question, don't spam it 5 times, because that happened and it breaks my heart to ban any of you, so please don't make me do it. Hey Alexandro, so nice, thank you. So we're doing this, okay? And I think it's time to get started. I talked enough. Now, where do we start? What's going to be our starting point, and what exactly would we like to start with? Well, obviously we want to learn how to do the windows, because they're basically going to be the most important element, especially since the windows do have a lot of detail around it. We have to learn how to do it properly. The scene at the moment is lagging a little bit on my computer, so I'm buying myself a little bit of time due to the fact that I've got 4 instances of 3ds Max open, and we're just going to jump to another one. So as you can see, we're going to be starting with this very basic, bare bones and raw version of the building. So as I said, this is what our viewers are going to be getting at the beginning. I just need to post it, okay? Hey Ravi. Now, as you can see, there's a couple of ornaments. So those are from, you can look for the Orac Decor. It's on one of the leading websites when it comes to 3D models. That's all I'm going to say about it. I just think that it would be nice to give them a bit of info. So nice to see pro 3D stuff here. I was recently at an amazing concert with a laser show. It was incredible. It really inspired me to work on my projects. Glad to hear that. Well, lasers are actually kind of my thing, so I would like to talk about it at some point. Some other YouTubers did a very similar thing, and I would like to talk about it as well, but from my standpoint and with a couple of things in Corona. So let's start with the windows, and let's start with the elements that I want to work on first, because there's a lot of detail that we have to go for. Well, we cannot, let's say, reasonably expect us to create this model right now. We can, but it's going to take us a lot of time. So I'm just going to, again, refer you to the Orac Decor. This is going to be the website that's going to allow you to download everything. But there are a couple of details that we cannot just model. Those are going to have to be scattered, and those are going to have to be, let's say, built with a little bit of ingenuity. So let's start with the simplest and the most fun. So the simplest one is obviously going to be using sweep modifier. So the sweep modifier goes as follow. Hi Mike, even after 6 hours of renders, my image is having noise. How can I solve it? Well, it depends on the settings. It depends on how many reflections you have. And honestly, if you could post it on our members section, I'm going to be really glad to help you. Just make sure to post it in one of the comments just below the, let's say, this webinar. Once I'm going to post some links, post a link to your render, tell me more about it, what materials we're using, and most importantly, what computer you are rendering on. Because, well, just saying 6 hours, you know, a Ferrari can go fast, right? And if it takes you to go to a town, from town to town, 6 hours, let's say, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the car's fault. Maybe the road is bad, so we might need to see what's going on under the hood in both cases. Are we recreating the scene, or is this a reference? So we're going to do kind of both. I don't want to recreate the whole scene because it's complex and big, and I would say that this is going to be a good starting point. Later on, I'm going to post the link to a floor plan that's going to allow you to build this whole villa with a couple of elements around it. But I want to guide you through how it's done, so you will be able to do it on your own the same way. I hope that this is going to be a nice, refreshing type of webinar where we don't need to follow along every step along the way. So, okay, I'm feeling recently that 3ds Max 2025 with Corona 12 are facing some noise issues. No similar problems are found in the lower versions of platforms. I would say, Elio, that's just you being so much better. Over the years, I've learned that each version of 3ds Max, each version of Corona, I was kind of expecting or seeing that my work is, well, not lower quality, that wasn't it, but I was kind of disappointed with what I was getting due to the fact that at this point in my life, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at my 3ds Max. I'm faster, I build more complex materials, I get better textures, and all of that wasn't, let's say, in my repository a couple of years ago. And now when I'm using this super high quality resources with a super good technique, it kinda, well, produces the noise because I'm throwing more at the software. But I bet you that if you would compare plain white scene, Corona 9 versus Corona 12, or vice versa, it is going to be faster. I bet you it is. So, okay. Hello from Vietnam, and now I'm using Ryzen CPU GTX Super GPU, blah 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 blah, RAM. Is it okay to create a 20 polygon scene? Yes, it is. It should be okay, but you still will have to do a little bit of optimization in that case, because well, just because your computer can, you should also remember that you should ask yourself if well, the question is, should you? Now, I want to show you the simplest thing ever, and that is the sweep modifier used for our objects, such as the ornaments around our building. Obviously, if you're going to create a very simple object that's going to be polygon based, this is going to be, we're going to be able to use this for both our shape or our outline. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use the sweep modifier on top of this object. Go for custom object and then pick. Once I pick it, you can see that there's a huge problem, and this is something that a lot of people will just get kind of discouraged by, and this is one of those things that you're going to kind of think, well, 3ds Max is flawed, and it is, but there's a solution to this madness. In this case, you can see that if I'm going to try to copy literal same modifier, but I'm going to be using a simpler object such as rectangle, and I'm going to repaste the same modifier, well, it acts really weird. Why is that? Well, mostly because this shape that I'm using is going to be by 3ds Max treated as some kind of alien object. So we're just going to do this. I'm going to take my alien cosmic entity, and I'm just going to create a rectangle around it, convert this rectangle to a double spline, and just like that, I'm going to go ahead and lower, grab the attach and attach the alien to my rectangle. Now, nothing happens here, but if I delete the outline and re-add this object, this new non-alien object, because suddenly it changed color, so it's definitely going to be a totally different object, right? And it is. For some reason, 3ds Max now treats this as a holy grail of objects, and it's just clean. Now it is also going to be our starting point to have some fun, because in this manner we're going to just add this same modifier to our object, and you can see that I kind of need to rotate this. So we can go to sweep parameters, and we're going to just go for mirror XY, and we've got a perfect outline around our building. So this is going to be really cool. But now you also have to remember about another property that this modifier is automatically going to have in. So you can see that some of the skewed elements where I'm making this 90 degrees turns are getting a bit weird. So we need to make sure that we also disable smooth path. That way we're going to have a little bit cleaner cuts on our object, because no longer this sweep is pretending to be, well, ornamentally smoothed out. So that's it. You don't necessarily want to click on smooth section, because that's going to take away the smoothness from the object that we're using as our section or cutout, but you pretty much want to do this. If any of arches will arise now, there's a two-edged sword, because obviously if I'm now going to add a fillet to my object, which is not something unheard of, we're going to have to make a decision what we want to do, because at this point this is where the element is going to fall apart, as we're going to see more edges. So the solution to it would be to activate it back. But then again, this element that we just talked about is going to be problematic. So what's the solution here? It's very simple. We'd still keep it off, but we want to make sure that we also apply another modifier that's going to be edit poly. We only select those polygons that we're automatically going to be interested in, and here we're going to do a bit of a trickery, because all we need to do at this point is clear all and auto smooth this by just like that. And now it's going to be perfect, because it automatically just grabbed all the elements that we were interested in to begin with. This is one of those things that you do at the very end, or as a additional element once your shape is settled, because unfortunately if you do it the other way around and you go back to your editable poly, although I did not add any kind of edges, as soon as I make some changes, chances are that my object is just going to blow up, or the smoothing groups are going to be totally messed up or moved to another dimension. So we kind of don't want to do it, but I was just showing you what you might encounter in some of those scenarios. So another thing that we're going to be exploring in the ornamental world of our buildings is this kind of a scenario where we've got those blocks, right? And normally you would say, yeah, I'm just going to place a couple of thousand objects around my building, and that's going to be it. Maybe, yes, but no, because it's going to cost you a tremendous amount of RAM. Even my computer is kind of trembling because I'm clicking too much. And now I'm going to be using the same sweep shape, sweet shape that we just had a second ago. And we're going to be using either one or both methods that we can apply here. So to create this kind of element and have that nice decor all around our building, that's sweep, that is also sweep. So the windows are also going to be made out of sweep, but there's a catch in there. So I'm going to kind of go over it. From Panama City, hello Jose, or Jose, I guess. And hello from Vietnam too. Meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you want me to pursue some specific topic, I would also be open to that. Now, what I'm going to do is, again, basic, but it is not something that a lot of you will come up with. So again, I'm just going to say, Femi, great job. So I'm just going to be sharing some of his work, but also it's mostly just him following the guidance. And I'm really super happy to have students like that, because, for example, we've got Asha, we've got Swati, Joe, Adrian. You must see what they're doing right now. For example, I'm going to open up our folders just to show you. You know what? No, I'm just going to open up the conversation I'm having with Adrian, because he just DM'd me, and this is his work. Like right now, he is still working on it. You can see that there's a couple of imperfections, but we're working on this image step by step, and honestly, that's just amazing. And just imagine the fact that he, on his own, after seeing like 2 webinars on how to do clove simulation that are also on our channel, but we did this during the lesson, he just did all that, like amazing work. And honestly, congratulations. We're going to still make it more like the reference, but it is going to be so cool once we're done with it. So Adrian, congratulations. By the way, my dear students, if you want me to show your work as well, DM me now, so I'll just show it so our audience can see it, because that's something that I really want to emphasize the most, that most of our students are starting from basically zero knowledge in 3ds Max, and that's something that I feel special, that this feels special to me, that it's just something that, well, we're part of our journey. That's all I'm going to say. So congratulations to you again. And Kyoko, from what I know, your work wasn't that bad either. So if you could send it to me as well, I would love to highlight yours. But meanwhile, while I was talking about Adrian, my amazing student, I'm going to just go ahead and add another element here. You can see that at this point, the key part of this whole setup is going to be, well, some kind of object, obviously, but we want to and must make sure that our pivot is going to be either exactly at the back of the object or as close to it as we can. The more precise you're going to be, the more time you're going to waste, because I'm not that into precision most of the time. But let's just say that this is going to be a nice button that we're going to be using with our trickety trick. Now, this is a simple box, so I like to keep my scene organized to some extent. Whenever I create new objects that I will be using for some kind of railings, for some kind of windows or whatever, I'm going to create this kind of, let's say, I like to call it garden, because that way, if I'm going to have to go back to some kind of object, I know that this is going to be there, and I don't need to figure out in which layer, at which point I'm going to have that. And you kind of need it anyway, because if you're going to put it inside of a tree or inside of a car, you're never going to be able to click it, and you're just going to get lost. So, okay. Block building, it's a very ambitious name, I know, but we're just going to keep it that way. Now, next to it, I'm always going to be creating the scatter that it's going to be related to. If I'm going to have multiple scatters, I'm just going to make this block area a little bit bigger, but I don't like using raw, let's say, raw scatters, rogue scatters, where I just don't know where everything is. So chaos scatter, and let's add block. Now that's going to be distribute on targeted objects. So my targeted object is going to be the line that I just created. So that's the one. Okay, so got it. Now instanced object is going to be my blockity block. So here we go. Now the key element is to have some kind of idea what you're creating, obviously. So you cannot just nitty-gritty allow it to exist in 3ds Max without really thinking about it. So let's just dissect what we're going to be using, as it's going to be a decor at the top of my building. And just for the sake of making this trick a bit more intense, I made it a bit different shape. So we're going to be changing this to 1D spline. Okay, now we also want to go all the way to the transformations, which are closed in my case, and we're going to change the 360 rotation to 0 rotation. Now, going back to the top, I'm also going to be changing my scatter spacing, and this is why this is powerful. So I'm going to go 50 centimeters. I might have overdone the size of this object then. So let me just change this. Why not using array though? That's a good question, Elio. So array is going to literally create objects. So what we're going to see in the, that is also why I made this object a little bit more complex. I know it's not that complex, but array is going to be good. But at this point, we do not have the ability to change the display option for our array, which is cool, but I'm not planning on creating 5. I'm planning on creating 500 copies. And that's going to slow down your computer at some point, especially if you're going to be dealing with a little bit more complex object than just a block. So let's scale it down, and since we're using this with scatter, I'm just going to quickly measure this. Still, I'm going to make it even smaller. That kinda almost makes sense. Now let's reset the X form, because resetting X form after scaling our object is going to be a must. And now we're going to be able to just convert it to a poly because I want to. Sometimes if you're only going to be storing your object and you're not going to be editing it, a good thing, especially if the object is slightly bigger, is to change it to mesh. The mesh is going to have less options available to you in 3ds Max, so it's an object that is being stored in 3ds Max whatsoever a little bit faster. Railclone is a good option too, and you're absolutely right, but Railclone is going to require you to learn a totally new tool on its own, while we've got everything built in Corona, like so I don't like going outside of that, because at some point you're going to rely on let's say I2 Railclone just to create those elements like railings. Then you're going to rely on a floor generator that's for planks, and then you're going to rely on forest pack to create any kind of forest. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but those costs add up, and you're going to, especially at the very beginning of your career, look for any kind of cuts that you can have. So to make sure that everybody can get started in the industry, that they can have a little bit of a go without really investing gajillion billions of dollars and pounds into their software, I think it would be fair to assume that it's a little bit better to use the tools that you already have at your disposal, rather than making this whole thing, starting this whole thing again. Okay, so what's going on here? Can you explain it to me, sir? So as you can see, my object just decided that rotating this scatter by 90 degrees is going to... Did I translate it? Yes. Okay, I didn't rotate it. I'm just talking too much. So okie dokie, rotation 90 to 90. Sometimes you may want to go a little bit closer to, let's say 91 if you want to, well, let's say add that extra detail, but honestly it's going to be redundant at a building like this. So let's make sure to go for spline, and spline scattering, if it allows me to, is going to be set to something around 25, and now we've got the object. So jitter doesn't matter, I'm not going to be adding that, but instantly I've got this nice array around my building, and at the moment it's acting exactly as array would, because I'm making sure to select this, let's say, or display this as a little bit more complex object. But in reality, the reason why we're using this is the ability to select it or display it as a dot or a wired box. In my case, I'm going to go for a wired box because it just kind of looks cool, but it's just me being a nerd, so probably it's not as cool as I make it up to be. It just makes it just makes me feel that I'm in a sci-fi, because everything is like those triangles from the 80s, and that's really something that I like. So okay, we've got our scatter, and now the scatter is going to be fully bound to our copy of the spline. So all we need to do is now just position it exactly where we need it, and that's going to be pretty much the end of the story. So that's going to seamlessly align with our building, and that's going to also allow us to get the exact results. If you want this to be bigger, smaller, you're just going to be able to change that one element, and all of them are going to update. It is extremely powerful, and as somebody said, Railclone would do just as good of a job. But the problem is that Railclone, well, not the light version, but Railclone is a paid software. I would say that it's more, I would probably being inclined to compare this to drug dealers. They're giving you a little bit of a taste for free, which never happened. My high school was really bad. Nobody gave me free narcotics, but what I'm saying is that in this case, we're going to have a bit of a taste. It's going to be very limited. You're either going to have to go back to scatter, or you're going to, well, purchase it. It's not a bad thing, because the software is okay. It's just that I am not a fan of purchasing everything when I'm getting started. Okay, let's continue. Now I understand why my scene is slow when use array. Good explanation, Mike. Thank you very much, and that kinda is the point. We try to make sure to optimize the scene, because I've created hundreds of objects and we're not even exceeding 200 vertices. The reason why we have so many is just the objects that I'm holding here. This whole building is extremely optimized. So now let's go ahead and build another element. Hey, Pamela, how are you? Hello, Han, nice to see you. But Pamela, how are you? How are you doing? What are you working on right now? Yeah, I talked with Pamela just recently on our chat, so nice to see that my students are coming back to us. It's just nice, thank you. Even if you're just here to say hello, it's just so nice. Okay, so now we're going to do the windows or the railings. I think both are fine. Hello from Tunisia. Hello to you too. Good on you and you. Well, I'm pretty fine, I guess. As you can see, I'm a little bit busy, so I'm not going to get too much into our conversations. But I am definitely going to try to reply if you ask any questions. So that was a question. Now, this element, right? So we've got some cutouts in our building, and those cutouts are specifically for the windows. I'm not going to surprise you by showing you that I'm just going to use the sweep modifier with this shape that I'm going to be subtracting from the already existing cutout of my building. So I'm just going to go for linear, and we're going to click OK. So the linear part is quite important, because I don't want to recreate this curve, because the curve is might not be the exact, let's say, exact cylindrical curve, and me coming up with a new curvy curve is going to take us too much time. So I'm just going to stick to that, and we're going to make sure to also keep the shape set to corner only. That way I'm going to have, yes, a bit denser mesh, slightly lower options when it comes to flexibility of the window, but in return I'm going to get something extra, and that is the ability to pretty much just use the sweep and have the exact fitting object well when it comes to the window. So now let's just continue. This is going to be a nice shape, let's say extrusion. So okay, just select that, and we're just going to do this. So this is going to be my outer shape around the window, so I might as well just detach this. So I'm just going to go ahead and select some of the edges, which I already did, and since my 3ds Max is kind of trying to be as slow as possible, I'm going to soon switch my computer to a different one. Just need to optimize it, because I'm extremely thorough when it comes to overclocking my computer. And by the way, guys, are you interested in an update on best laptops and best computers for 3D rendering video somewhere or down the line, like, I don't know, in 2 weeks? I was thinking about it. So Vec pivot, center to the object, just for funsies. And now we're going to just select this part, and we're going to be using our elements. As always, we're just going to go ahead and first apply the sweep modifier to see how it's going to react to the object existence. Okay, this time it wasn't that bad. So I'm going to go ahead, use the custom, pick, and we're just going to continue by grabbing this shape that I've had pre-prepared. Lucky for me, the shape is looking okay, but now we've got this problem because we were using the line option. So we're going to, corner option. So we're going to fix that in a second. And we also kind of need to rotate this. So I'm going to mirror this, which is not exactly what I want. So I'm going to mirror this that way, but then that way. Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's the mirror I was looking for. Also, the sweep modifier, as always, we can just play around with the shape. And I want this shape to be fitting to the window or slightly bigger than the window. So I'm just going to keep it this way. Now, on top of my sweep modifier, I'm going to add the... what modifier am I adding, guys? Yes, smooth modifier. So smooth modifier is exactly going to do the same thing as the regular editable poly would, but in that case, I'm just going to go for editable spline, auto smooth, and we're just going to have it activated, and it's just going to clear everything out without me having to do lift the finger. Now let's just go ahead and copy this modifier and apply it here for the bottom part of our window. Okay, so mostly okay, but still the part that's, let's say, slightly going backwards is going to need to be deleted because that produces a bit of glitching. And for me, this is going to be a perfect window starting point because now we pretty much have it. Okay, so this is just a small detail that we're going to be able to copy, and starting from here, I need to make sure that this window is going to be slightly deeper. So all I'm going to do is add the editable poly modifier on top of it and slightly extrude it inwards. I could use the same shape that I just did and do it there, but that's not going to be very optimized for me because in that case, I'm going to have to create a new shape just for the window. I'm just going to change something about the window, so it's going to go a little bit deeper, and that way I'm going to have the corridor, so I don't need to do much for the frames. Now let's go ahead and select by angle. By angle selected it is, and now let's sweepity swoop that a bit deeper, and now we've got a nice deep window that we can add frames towards to. Now here, depending on what your window is going to be and how many copies you're going to be creating, you may want to go for that. How is Mac for SketchUp? Well, I would say that Mac is just not a very ideal solution for any professional work. People will disagree because they're already used to the environment, but the way the software is limited is almost as if it's going to be always on a safety wheel, on safety wheels. So I would say just skip the Mac part, go for PC, and stop pretending that it's a valid professional tool. It is just not. Windows is a must in the industry, and that's it. So okay, we convert this object also to editable poly by adding a modifier, and now I'm going to just swift extrude this and select those parts and swift extrude them as well. So we're going to have a bit deeper window altogether. Very simple, and no elements need to be added. You use 2ds Max 24 or 25 version. 25. I just recently seen the 3ds Max 2026 update, and I must say that it was disappointing. It was like The developers of 3ds Max are trying their best to balance their updates for the software between absolutely redundant and nobody needs it and useless. And there's a thin line where if you make it redundant, nobody's going to notice. But if you make it useless, somebody will notice it but never use it. So they need to remain in that area, because if they make something that's going to be potentially good and maybe they're going to add something that people will be using, well, that means that now they have to, well, update the software, make it better, and that's too much work. I think a $1 billion company like Autodesk cannot afford having additional software maintaining group that's going to just add something super good. For example, one of the examples of such options is the fluid. I mean the liquid. I mean, yes, that was good. It was heading somewhere. It was an idea. It's good, and let's make it happen. But they did it, abandoned it, and now they're just pretending that it wasn't me. Same hair and fur. Like, come on. It's been like 15 years since they've added it, and it had maybe 2 updates, but so redundant that it's still the same bad hair and fur that it was. It's just that at the time when it came out, it was almost revolutionary. It was amazing, but now that 15 years passed and you kind of could make it better, right? Minimum requirements RAM for Corona renderer. I would say 8 gigabytes is the minimum, but I would recommend 16 because it's still going to be better to have more. I used to have MacBook Pro M1 Max. Forget it. I just not the tool for 3D rendering, for video editing. It's great. Yes, Ricardo, you're absolutely right. That's something that we have to differentiate between, because Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, stuff like that on a Mac, cool. That's just you being creative, and let's just have some fun. Fun, good, fast. Very optimized. But when it comes to 3D, forget about it. I was actually using not an M1 processor, but one of those MacBook Pros, Mac Pros, which are just those gigantic server racks from Apple. No, I just don't want to go back there. It was okay. Mac is good only for processing DaVinci, Photoshop, and stuff like that. Yeah, Elio, you're absolutely right. Okay, let's continue. The window frame is mostly done, and now we need to fill it with some details, right? So we don't need to necessarily have a lot of detail here, but what you want to keep in mind is whenever you're doing any kind of 3D, it's going to be a thin line between how much you have to do and how much you have to fake. So for example, windows are those elements that I like to fake, and to some extent it's not cheating because, well, it's still going to look good, but it's cheating in a sense that I'm not going to copy some sort of designer or manufacturer's product, because at this point I just don't need it, and since I don't, I won't, and that's my solution for it. So let's just make sure to use one cylinder at a time. Now let's copy all of those elements and just go through the thing. So I cut it here. Perfect. We're going to just create this first inner layer. Okay, so that's going to be our main frame. That's going to be our window, and that's going to be the rest of the frame, but maybe I'll just decide how big it's going to be by deleting this element. And now we're going to be able to make sure to continue here I've got all of that. And we kind of got into the position where I need to split this into half as well, because at that point I will need to, let's say, open up the window or make the frame a little bit better. So let's just make sure that it's going to be small enough, and that's going to be my opening, or let's say the way of dividing window. But all I'm going to do is just slightly move it backwards, so it's still going to grab enough lighting, but I'm not going to do much. Now the curve is looking good, so I'm going to try to focus mostly on the grid part, where I'm just going to make sure that the elements in my window will be nicely cut. And just as I predicted, this is supposed to be a little bit smaller, so we're just improvising a little bit. So let's swift loop that, swift loop this, and we're just going to, you know what, cancel that. Let's just add a couple of copies here, connections. That's going to be it. Now we're going to add a bit of chamfer. So the chamfer is going to be triangular because I'm lazy. Now we're going to just add a little bit of thickness, and now we've got it done. Okay, so let's add another nice line. Remember that when it comes to your windows, those are going to be fairly far away from your camera. So you don't need to be atomically precise with objects like this, because if you are, you're wasting your time. I mean, it's not the worst thing to do to be precise, and I'm not saying that you should always be imprecise. What I'm saying is just don't waste your time. Now, here we go. We're just going to delete the elements that we're not interested in that much. So here we go. Perfect. So those are the cutouts, right? So 3ds Max, are you crashing now? Potentially it is, but it decided not to. Hi Mike, how are you? Aaron, hey, nice to have you. They need to add a swift loop family to snapping. I think yes, but the developers need to hear about it. So maybe if we tell them, they won't do anything about it for the next couple of years. I don't know. It's just, I am a little bit salty when it comes to 3ds Max updates, and the recent update was just almost an insult. All the software around is just joining the cool kids club, where everybody's getting super exciting updates, new stuff, new tools, and we're getting 40% faster array. You're going to be great. Now, Boolean, remember that modifier that works? It also works, but now faster. Come on. Like, okay, fine, but 40% is not something I'm going to be excited about. Like, who cares? Really, it's, yes, you will use it, but will you notice it? No. Will you appreciate it? Never. Somebody once said that the users are great in pointing out stuff that needs to be fixed in the software, but it's like using an axe. If you are using an axe, you're going to be a master at it. You're going to tell the developers how the axe should be used, how the handle should look like, how sharp it is supposed to be, while the developers, meanwhile, are responsible for thinking through the solution to a chainsaw. Kind of agree with that, because we're just not feature-oriented minds. We're just users, right? But when it comes to developers of 3ds Max, I would say that they're not oriented towards anything. They're just, yeah, I've got a job and I need to keep it for as long as I live. And that's probably their motivation now. That's all I'm going to say. The developers of 3ds Max, if you're ever going to hear this video, please just defend yourself. Make something that's going to be worthwhile for the users. At the moment, you're failing us. Okay, let's continue. And I think it's going to be okay to just go for shell modifier in here. Okay, maybe the future Blender will cross head with 3ds Max if Autodesk keep doing yeah, I think this is really possible that at some point 3ds Max is going to have to kind of get in bed with with Blender, not because Blender is let's say that much better. I honestly think that Blender has an opposite problem. Blender is changing absolutely everything from one version to another. It's very common to see in Blender community that the UI was completely reworked, and now a new version of Blender is just the same software that you have to learn from scratch. Well, they're doing it the opposite way. They're doing it, well, they're adding the updates, but they're again doing too much. Oh come on man, they even didn't add a grouping and getting to organize materials in editor. Yeah, that's awful. Another crazy update which 3ds Max should be implemented for batch rendering. Please integrate multiple aspect ratio. My god, it is already there, but so bad. You can actually add the override preset, which adds a different name, so it's just really bad. Download project manager. I mean, the thing is that this is a paid software. I do not want to pay for additional plugins that will make the job done for me, because I'm already paying for the software. So on the one hand, I understand it was solved by this nice update or nice plugin, which is perfect. Probably it's the best plugin we've ever seen. But then again, this is paid software, not Blender. I mean, I am more and more, let's say, not on the side of Blender people, because at this moment I would say the software is great, but it lacks too many features that I just use on daily basis. But I am not going to hate on them. That's it. I'm going to hate on the community, because a lot of people in Blender community are just whack, but I'm still going to say it. Blender is pretty good software. That's it. Okay, so we've got our window frame, and that's all we needed to do. It was simple. I should and could have done it even faster with a spline, but for some reason I decided that editing out of poly is going to be just a little bit, it's going to bring me a little bit more pleasure. So that's why I decided that. Now, the thing is that I also need to select this one part that I was talking about. So I'm just going to copy it real quick. Okay, and we're going to use the align tool to not drag it through the scene. So align, perfect, center, pivot axis, okay, and perfect. Apply, okay. Now I'm just going to move it here, so we're going to have more detail added, and since the object already has the editable poly as a modifier on top of it, I'm just going to make sure to attach it to the modifier. So yes, I'm no longer going to be kind of allowed to change anything about this object, but I'm also not planning to. So this is just going to be easier for me as I'm now making sure that everything looks better. Hello, Mike, nice to see you. I am facing a new problem. The Corona VDB doesn't show. I have installed and reinstalled Corona, but that's not showing. Do you have any idea what can be done? Bebek. So chances are that it is actually showing, but it's showing somewhere outside of your screen. So check if you can do the following. Press left alt, so lefty alty, and once you do that, make sure to turn on and off, let's turn on the video frame buffer. It's here. Now alt space, and you're going to have the move option, right? So once you have it, you're going to be able to move the window if it is the last selected window, or cycle through the objects in here. Check if it's one of the windows that are available to you. Sometimes it is. So likely you just need to place your windows, all of them, by maximizing, minimizing, or just restoring them into the position. Because otherwise that would be the most likely outcome. Also, you can start your interactive and click on render frame window. That way you're going to see if anything was rendered and you're just not seeing the video frame buffer. So then again, you can go to system settings and check something that's also going to be an option that I wouldn't recommend, but since it's going to reset the video frame buffer, it might also bring it up in a different position, because you can go to native 3ds Max or Corona older frame buffer. So that way, if I now start interactive render, we're going to have the good old Corona. It should have the good old, hey, excuse me, where's my good old previous version of video frame buffer? So it should have it. It should open it up. Also, check if you're not using 5 screens and, for example, you had your tablet attached and at some point it just, well, magically decided not to do the thing. Native 3ds Max or none. That's also an option. I was using the none option when I was pirate rendering on not my hardware. I was working for a company that had ginormous computer, and because I was just a bit sneaky, I was renaming my files to the files that I was supposed to be working on, and I was sending that job to render it on that specific computer. And because I was doing it the way I did, I was getting away with a lot of stuff, so it was a little bit easier for me to, well, sneak in a couple of my renders by clicking none. So while it was rendering, nobody knew what's rendering, and it was just another job. So okay, it's just no video frame buffer, I guess. So nobody but an eye, and they didn't see that in this company I wasn't doing my job exactly as I should have. Later on, I told my boss, because I felt that it's a little bit cheating, like stealing from the company in terms of power, but the guy just said, Mike, shut up, just render it already. And that was the end of the conversation. So I got scot-free for, let's say, that thingy. Okay, multiple monitor setup. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, there's a little bit of chat going on. Come on, man. And even add a grouping and something organized. Okay, download project. Hello, Mike. Nice to see you. Okay, Blender started getting legitimate during the pandemic. It's finally going to start to get decent. Yeah, and it's actually so legitimate that even V-Ray decided to kind of shift towards Blender. They're testing their waters there. So if V-Ray is interested in Blender market, it exists. So you have to, well, go where the money is. So it's probably Blender then. Please don't make me the next video for premium members only. Well, I have to. It's just part of my contract obligation, so I need to do it, because unfortunately, as much as I would like to do the freebies, the premiums are really helping us keep the channel going, and you cannot even imagine how much this helped us. So I would like to again say thank you to everybody who joined the well, let's say our members section, because it really helps. It legitimately helps us create some content and get a little bit well, easier, let's say. It just makes our lives a little bit easier, because we don't need to stress out as much. We can kind of chill when it comes to well, both worlds. The training is one thing, but also YouTube is another thing that's worth our time. So and that's really it. So thank you. I don't know what to say. It's just really great that people do that, and I just hope that we're at least delivering something worth their while. I saw your course and I want to buy it, but I have only so Ibrahim, at the moment we are using Corona. We're trying to create content for V-Ray, but to be honest, V-Ray is taking a lot of time and our resources. So I'm not going to say that it's going to happen next month. It's not going to happen probably for a while, but I would definitely like to have it in our curriculum at some point, because I know that's just good. So let's see. We're going to have this spline and we're going to use it. It's a pleasure, Mike. I don't even have to thank you. You're putting a lot of effort into it. Well, I'm glad that you think that way. So I'm just grateful, really. That's all I can say. I'm really grateful for that. So I've got this railing, right? And I kind of want to have that in my scene. So the original scene created by Femi had this scene going on like this. So it wasn't bad, and I wouldn't say it was, but it's because still his scene is only 4 million polygons. But this is one of those parts where your 3ds Max is going just a little bit slower, and I think we can optimize this to some extent. And best way of optimizing such shape is to use my all-time favorite tool that I really feel that this tool is like my doing, but I absolutely know it's not. But I was, let's say, a couple of years ago when 3ds, when Corona was just making their first baby steps in the industry, they had, well, the alpha, and I remember I specifically created a forum account just to tell the developers to create something that's going to be exactly as the Corona pattern is today. At that moment, the developer said no. And I was like, oh man, but I use it, please sir, can I have some patterns please? And it only took 9 years, 7 or 9 years to get that request done. So who's the boss? Yep. Thank you. Thank me very much. Now, 7 or 8 years. And now, we're going to be using Corona pattern here. Let's go for the extrude, and we're just going to add the extrusion. As you can see, the extrude is doing a little bit of a stroke, and we cannot really do anything about it. Or can we? We can, because I'm just going to delete that and reset the X form, and now add the extrude the way I want it. So that way the object is growing upwards, and that's good. So I want this railing or this object to be approximately 120 centimeters, so it's a rather big one. The course is 7 weeks from modeling to final render, right? Yes, but it takes you 4 weeks to produce good renders, and again, since I've got it at my hand, this is Adrian's work. He's in our chat right now. So this is him after a couple of weeks. We're currently at week number 4 in our group, because like quite literally we're going to have we're going to have task 12 unlocked this Friday. So the training is not only about webinars like this one, because I'm mostly reviewing their work and giving tips and trying to set our students to work in a specific manner for the next thing. Feeled all yet? I mean, I don't feel old at all. I'm kind of opposite. I'm feeling really young. Young. Yeah, the English thingy is brokey. So now, the thing is that I am definitely right now, our training divides into 3 elements. It's the webinars, which are great, and I'm going to give you some reviews and tell you what to do next. But also, we've got pre-recorded videos, so you can revisit them at any time. Plus, they're going to tell you what type of homework you should be doing or how to execute this specific task. And then on top of that, we've got amazing online support that's going to be filled with our seasoned professionals. Currently, we pretty much have our students, contact them constantly. I'm just trying to make sure that our students know one thing. Our support is there to help them. That's it. Okay, so I was talking too much about this. UVW mapping, right? We want to clear out any mapping on this object. I could use a regular sweep, I could use a regular regular shape to have this done in an instant, but I want to clear the mapping first. Then I'm going to go for UVW mapping unwrap, so UVW unwrap, and we're just going to quickly open the UVW editor. So we're just going to grab everything we have here, and instantly you can see that the mapping is really bad in here. So instead I'm going to quick peel this, and it's going to instantly just jump to be perfectly weird. Okay, so first thing you want to click here is straighten the selection. If it works, it works, it worked, we're going to keep it that way. Now, the trick here is to make sure that we have the exact mapping. And one thing that I just don't like about 3ds Max UVW mapping is I am yet to find a good snapping way to the top. So I'm just going to try to snap it as best as I can, but without going outside of the UVW outline. For some reason, you cannot be precise here in 3ds Max, and that's another thing that I hate about it. But I really do love 3ds Max a lot. We're just in this specific type of toxic relation where I'm really going to be aggressive verbally against it, but then we love each other a lot. Now, here we're going to have the Corona pattern modifier, and that's the whole thing. The shtick is that we're going to be now selecting our just one part of our railing, and we're going to pretty much see nothing yet because at the moment we're going to be moving on to the next part, and that's going to be some kind of lighting. So let's single light this, and what we're going to see is at this point the object is neatly stretched. Not the way I want it, but at least it tiles. So it's starting on the left and going through the whole object. So how do we fix this? Because obviously we cannot leave it that way. So I'm going to add another modifier that is going to be UVW Xform. We're going to be adding rotation by 90 degrees. It looks better, but it's definitely stretched. So I need to add the tiling. But I want to add the tiling on the V axis. So we're just going to add like a gajillion of this. And now this is where the fun begins, because if I zoom in, it's a perfect representation of that model. It's just perfect. And you can see that my mapping is going to play a role on how the object is going to be represented. So my advice for you, if you don't want to spend too much time working with the mapping, is to do the following. Just do yourself a favor. If the object is symmetrical, cut out those elements. Let's delete half of it because I don't care. Now we're going to have a little bit easier way of making this same thing, but cleaner and a little bit easier to handle, because now the object is only half of it, and I know that I'm going to be adding a lot of copies. So we're going to go for UVW unwrap, okay, and we're going to go for UV open editor, and in here we're just going to use the same thing. UVW unwrap in 3ds Max is so bad. Rismo UV, by the way, is an important to model house elements in quads, or is it unnecessary? It's extremely unnecessary, so okay, all we are going to do is just stretch this out so it fits almost exactly here. Now, I think Autodesk is brewing something very cool for us, and they're going to surprise us, and we're really going to be, oh, I didn't even know that this could be done. But at the moment, they're not doing it, so I'm just going to say thank you, but no. Okay, so we've got the UVW randomization. Let's go for 30 in this case, and let's just make sure to see what we've got. And thanks to the fact that we added this perfect mirror, everything is looking absolutely perfect. The mapping is showing this element in perfect form. We've got the most perfect representation of the object. If we want to, we can play a little bit with the pattern setting to, for example, cut through half of this object, because we can just try doing this. We can change this part to cut through half of my object since it's symmetrical. And if I do good enough job and I don't need to be super precise, it's just going to allow me to then go back, and we're going to just have one line because I'm cutting through and I'm adding all of the niceties. So guys, this is going to be our part 1. During part 2, I'm going to do the lighting and scatters because I kind of talked too much here, but I also need to do the part 2. So we're going to see each other in 5 to 10 minutes. Just let me grab something to drink. And thank you so much, Dadim and Swati. Thank you for joining our members. That is highly appreciated. And see you in 5 minutes. I'm just going to take a break and we're going to see each other in our super special link. So I'll be right back. 5 minutes break.